14% of Pixar, Disney's Pixar, is being laid off. Yep. Quite astronomically high amount, actually. 14% of your workforce being binned off because you keep making garbage movies. Wow. Okay, so this is an exclusive to the Hollywood Reporter. Get my words out, sorry. So, yeah, major Pixar layoffs, long expected, now underway in restructuring, exclusive. Now, that makes a lot of sense because they've been going downhill massively. But it just goes to show how bad things are for Disney. And just how bad things are in general for the film industry. You know, the budgets are absolutely insane. Like, Pixar movies like $200+ million. It's madness. It's absolute madness. And they have not been doing that well at the box office. They've not fared that well. So, yeah, we'll dive into this today. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Turn the bell notifications on. And if you like what I do, then I will say, please do consider supporting the channel via Patreon. It's the first link down below in the description box. Why? Because YouTube loves to demonetize your favorite YouTubers. Not just me, pretty much anyone. So it goes a step further to helping them. And, you know, you can do so for as little as $2 a month, which, you know, does actually go a long way accumulatively. So anyway, let's take a look at these. My sort of shilling out the way. This hasn't come out of the blue, obviously. But we're now finally getting word, the amount, and what's happening. We knew that they were going to get rid of people. It's long been expected, but we didn't know when or how many. We didn't really know a great deal of information, so now we do. Long expected layoffs at Pixar Animation Studios have begun. So, today, which is the 21st of May, leadership at the Storied Company has decided now on the amount of reductions. So the Hollywood Reporter has learned that it will begin to notify employees today. Now, this is apparently the biggest restructuring in Pixar's history. Under Disney. Says a lot, doesn't it? And as always, top leadership is not impacted, even though these are the individuals which make the decisions. Interesting. As always, hey? So approximately 14% of Pixar's workforce, or around 175 employees, will be let go. Before the reductions, approximately 1,300 people worked at the animation studio. So not a lot of people. You know, they don't have a huge studio overall. 1,300 people, 1,300, and you're letting go nearly 200 people. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. So the layoffs are part of Disney Chief's Bob Iger's overarching mandate to return to a focus on quality versus churning out content for streaming, which was a priority for his short-lived successor, Bob Chapek. It was a priority for him, actually. Bob Iger was the individual always making the decisions. We know this. It's been long confirmed. Variety did a huge expose on it, and it's just pretty obvious that that was the case, but they love to use Bob Chapek as the blame guy. Now, I will say this. Bob Iger still gets $30+ million base salary a year. That's not good. No, you don't... What? You don't deserve that much money. You've been losing money for Disney. What are you doing? Oh, never mind. Now it says this. Disney executives have talked about returning to a focus on quality during numerous earnings calls this year, saying creative teams across the company were stretched too thin in the arms race to feed streamers. Which makes sense. Pixar's employees have known since January that the layoffs were coming. If there's some solace to be had, it's that the reductions are less than the 20% reported in January by some news outlets. Again, it was never confirmed. We just didn't really know. Now, nor is Pixar being singled out. No, true. But I reckon the end result of this will be Disney Animation and Pixar being sort of consolidated into one, amalgamated into one, merged, whatever you want to call it. That'll be what's going to happen, I reckon. Seems to be the end goal. So there were layoffs across all of Disney last year, but cuts at Pixar, scroll back up, were delayed because of production schedules, sources say. Pixar, led by Pete Docter, will no longer be focusing on direct-to-streaming series. Why were they doing that to begin with? They never should have been doing that. What on earth? Like what? But on its feature films, that excludes Win or Lose, which is set to debut later this year. The fact that they put Pixar focusing on direct-to-streaming series was just the weirdest decision. That was the weirdest choice. So the once invincible animation studio suffered a major setback during the pandemic era when the Chapek regime decided to send Luca, Coco, and Turning Red straight to Disney+. Sure, maybe. But where else are we going to put them? Where else are we going to put them? Like, the whole streaming thing should never have been a thing to begin with anyway. Not to this degree. Never. It's been a lose-lose for essentially every single company that's tried to go into streaming. Like, look at the figures. It's not going very well for any company. Except for Warner Brothers, actually. So, now it says, first post-COVID theatrical release, Lightyear was mostly dismissed by critics and audiences, exposing Pixar to ongoing scrutiny. Well, yeah, but it is also because, you know, you've started to inject things into these movies which people aren't interested in. Disney as a whole is being targeted by families. So, you know, you have an animation studio traditionally meant for family films, where families are now turning against Disney. It's not going to be a recipe for success. Most people are questioning whether anything coming out of Disney is suitable for their child now, because of all of the LGBTQ plus agenda, just everything, you know, all of the politics that they keep putting in things, all of this stuff people are universally rejecting by and large. So the fact that this comes as a surprise to anyone, where have you been? What planet are you living on? So Pixar received good news last year with the release of Elemental, which earned nearly $500 million globally. That still would have lost money though, because that still would have cost $200 million or so. So you're looking at 400 plus million to even break even. 400 million just on production budget. Even more so with marketing included. So that would have lost money. Wouldn't have broken even. That's not good news either. Better news to what they were doing. So there you go. I mean, there's not much else really to say here. It's just fascinating. Here's the memo. Hello everyone, I've spoken to you many times over the last year about our pending move away from series production for Disney+, the return to our focus on feature films, and the reduction in our team that would accompany that. The day is here, and while it's not coming as a surprise to anyone, it's one of the hardest changes we've had to make, as it means we will be parting with a number of talented and dedicated colleagues and friends. Today, leaders will begin the process of notifying employees whose positions are being impacted. Calendar invites to speak with the leader have already gone out to those individuals, and we anticipate we will have connected with everyone impacted by the end of the day. I want to assure you that will be providing extensive support with as our colleagues start to transition out of the studio. We are committed to ensuring that their departure is handled with the utmost respect and care at every stage, except for the fact that you're not bidding off top executives, but fine. This is important to me, and I understand how important this is to all of us in the Pixar community. I will host a brief studio meeting via Zoom this afternoon at 5 to talk more about today's announcements. Despite the challenges in our industry over the past few years, you have all consistently shown up to contribute, collaborate, innovate, lead, and do some great work at the studio. I give you my deepest thanks, and for those who will be leaving us, I'm hopeful that our paths will cross again, both professionally and personally. Well, there you go. Not much else really to say, but the bloodbath at Disney continues.